Businesses nationwide have been shuttered in place for nearly 8 weeks as the COVID-19 pandemic has swept across the country. We all knew that this would take the sacrifice to flatten the curve. But now we must face one of the biggest decisions of our generation. Do we risk the possibility of more infections if we are to reopen our country? Or do the long-term risks to the financial livelihood of millions of families nationwide outweigh the risks to these thousands of people possibly becoming sick? Can we afford to continue this lockdown? Hello and welcome to the Stephen Carlson Show. I'm Stephen Carlson. Honestly, I'm nobody special. I'm just an average dude that wears many hats. I'm a tech entrepreneur, real estate investor, YouTuber, author, and volunteer paramedic. These different pieces of my life give me a very unique perspective of the world, allowing me to see things through many different eyes. Today, I was watching the Rubin Report and caught an interview with Mike Rowe. You know, that guy from Dirty Jobs, and he got me thinking. One thing that really bothers me about the current pandemic is how it has been taken over by the politicians. This is a public health crisis, and it should never be a left versus right political issue. Come on, everyone should be against COVID. It infects people indiscriminately of political party affiliation. But sadly, the way the politics work, both sides are using this situation to jab at the other side of the aisle. I am so sick of this BS from these... Now, if for some odd reason you enjoy learning about how both political parties have lied, cheated, and stole from all of us, check out my book, America Hijacked. The link is in the description below. Now, as a paramedic, I know that this disease is based off of and transmits itself very similar to the yearly flu. However, the infection rate of this disease is significantly higher, and in March, we were told the death rate in the United States could be as high as 2 million persons if we did not take drastic actions to stop the spread and to flatten the curve. So we followed the recommendations of the medical experts and we sheltered in place.
I think we're learning every day about the virus and how it interacts with us as human host. And that's been very important to constantly be triangulating data. I think we underestimated very early on the number of asymptomatic cases. And I think we're really beginning to understand that there are people that get infected, that the symptoms are so low grade that they don't even know that they're infected. And we're beginning to see that with the New York studies of their seroantibody studies.
Now, thankfully, the numbers of those who have tragically lost their lives to this pandemic have been nowhere near the projected numbers. Now, it's very hard to tell if the reason is A, they never would have been that high anyways, or B, our actions to mitigate actually helped. Now, in my personal opinion, and remember, I'm just some dude on the internet, I think it's a combination of both A and B. The majority of cases that we have seen so far are in populations of the most susceptible. This includes people with pre-existing medical conditions or are elderly. Yet, states like New York are forcing seniors that are infected with the virus to go back to their nursing homes, turning these assisted living facilities into nothing more than petri dishes of infection. See my video, Nursing Home Death Traps. Link is in the description. Now, are you in the medical field? Have you been on the front line of this war? If so, comment down below and share your story with us. Now, putting on one of my other hats, as a business owner, I have seen firsthand the devastation this lockdown has had upon small businesses nationwide. One of my businesses, Auto Corner, is a business-to-business company that provides online marketing services for independent used car dealerships in the United States. Our revenues in the past 60 days have been cut nearly in half versus this time last year. This is also not factoring in how we were already up 20% in January and February versus that time last year. So we took a huge hit, and now we're in a situation of needing to use the CARES Act, PPP, and EIDL stimulus to provide us with over $1.5 million in emergency funding. Now, unless you are a business owner yourself, you really don't know the blood, sweat, and tears that you put into a business to get it off the ground. Honestly, it's like birthing a child. It is your baby, and you will do anything to help it succeed. Now, of course, I know we are not alone. Small businesses across the nation are all in the same boat. And something that everybody should remember is that over 50% of the US workforce is employed by these small businesses that have less than 50 employees. Now, Some argue that we should keep all businesses closed until there is a cure. You know what? The problem is there's no guarantee a cure will ever be discovered. Coronavirus is a horrible pandemic, and honestly, we have no idea exactly what it is going to do in the next few weeks, months, or years. It is completely possible we, as humankind, will have to deal with this for many years until we can fully grasp and understand it. Well, yes, we can run all the best computer models based upon our best hypothesis at the time, but honestly, we just don't know what's going to happen. The only thing we do know, without a question, if we do not reopen America, these businesses will go out of business, and we will plunge the United States into another Great Depression-style era. Now, this brings me over to the Mike Rowe interview, and something specific he said that really resonated with me. Let me play a little snippet of that interview for you. The full video link is in the description below.
Here's the thing. I mentioned this, I think, to Glenn Beck the other day. You know, the thing nobody is thinking about with regard to a premature opening versus an unnecessary sequestration is what happened to the Brits in 1939, right? I mean, Hitler dropped a lot of bombs on London every day, day after day, day after day after day. For weeks, they stayed in, hunkered in the bunker, in the air raid shelters. And then about 3 weeks into it, they started venturing out. Bombs were still falling, right? Started opening shops. The bombs were still falling. They opened the schools. The bombs were still falling. They were cleaning up. Now, I'm not saying for a second that we ought to do anything premature, but I'm saying that no matter what we do first is going to feel premature. Doesn't matter what it is. It's going to feel reckless. It has to, by definition. But the thing is, what really drove the Brits out of their bunkers? I wasn't there. I don't really know. But from what I've read, my sense of it is they got bored. They got bored of being terrorized. And they just said, no. And they had enough time, as horrific as it was, they had enough time to let it sit for a minute. And there's no way you're coming out after day 2, or 5, or 8, or 12. 14? 20? Right? And so it's very personal, and there's a herd mentality, just as surely as there's a herd immunity. And the first ones to go will look reckless and crazy, but then others will follow. And then pretty soon, you're a guy who gets behind the wheel of your car and drives across the state knowing full well that 40,000 people are going to die this year as a result of traffic fatalities. But you get in and you strap up.
Now, I know many of you may only know Mike Rowe from his dirty jobs days, and that you may have no idea of his level of intellect and personal drive. Now, when he said, no matter what you do, it will feel premature, and then he followed that comment up with, the first ones to go out will look reckless and crazy, but others will follow. I was speechless. This is so very true and deeply insightful into the human psyche. Yes, a small, but very vocal, minority will denounce small business owners as evil rich guys only concerned about making a buck. We're all Americans in this, and we're in it together. And just like how Mike referenced the British during the London bombings, we need to get up, dust ourselves off, and rebuild. Clearly, if you're elderly or have pre-existing medical conditions, you are far more susceptible than the average healthy person in their teens, 20s, 30s, 40s, etc. But eventually, people do need to take a level of self-responsibility and protect themselves. This will free up resources so we can dedicate a larger percentage of our nursing and medical care staff to those that are unable to provide care for themselves. Now, if you are a business owner, please comment down below and tell me what your thoughts are. What are your plans? Are you going to be reopening? How are you going to reopen? What are your ideas? Comment down below and let us know. Putting aside my hat as a business owner, now I'll put on the hat as a consumer. And just like Mike Rowe mentioned, I am going stir crazy. I just want to go back out, meet people, shop at stores, eat great food, and most importantly, get a haircut, because damn, I really need one. Now, Since most of you are still at home, now is the perfect time for you to pick up some stocks while the market took a bit of a fall on Friday. Check out the Webull link in the description. If you open your account and fund it with $100, they will give you 2 free stocks, with one of those stocks being valued up to $1,400. I really hope you enjoyed this video. Please make sure you like and subscribe to my channel. Doing so really helps with the YouTube algorithm, and I really appreciate it. Thanks, and I'll see you on the next one.